This is set early in the 21st century. The Tyrell Corporation advanced robot evolution into the nexus phase, which was virtually identical to a human known as a replicant. The Nexus 6 replicants were superior in strength, agility, and at least equal intelligence to the genetic engineers who created them. Replicants were used off-world as slaves in the tough and hazardous exploration and colonization of other planets. After a bloody mutiny by a Nexus 6 combat squadron in an off-world colony, replicants were declared illegal on planet Earth under penalty of death. Special police squads, known as the Blade Runner units, received orders to shoot to kill under detection of any trespassing replicants. This process was known as retirement instead of execution. It's a dystopian future where the cities have been overpopulated and highly industrialized. In one of the holding facilities where replicants are taken to determine intelligence tests, Leon is sitting in front of Gaff and being asked different questions. As Gaff continues to ask questions, Leon becomes increasingly agitated, until finally a question about his mother pushes him over the edge, pushing him to shoot the investigator. Out in the city, a Blade Runner by the name of Rick is reading a newspaper and watching the giant flying blimps go by. Sighing in annoyance at the sounds around him, Rick goes to get some food at a nearby stall when two officers approach him, telling him that he's under arrest. Asking him to enter their vehicle, the two men fly Rick to the station to meet his former supervisor, Bryant. Telling him that he knew he wouldn't have come if he had simply asked, Bryant tells him that 4 unauthorized replicants were walking the streets and that he wanted Rick to handle them. Once Rick is dead, Bryant tells him that the 4 criminals had killed entire crew members of a ship and left it to drift off. Although Rick tries to tell his supervisor that he doesn't work there anymore, Bryant warns him that he has no choice but to take the assignment. Showing him a video of a recording of the replicants, Bryant gives Rick a description of the criminals he would be looking for and their special skills. He also tells him that the names of these replicants were Roy, Leon, and 2 females by the name of Zora and Pris. Once the briefing is done, Bryant tells Rick to go to the company that makes the replicants and asks him to meet with the CEO. When they finally make it to the giant facility, Rick meets Eldon, who adamantly asks him to perform the intelligence and empathy test on his beautiful assistant Rachel, who is also a replicant. Sitting in front of the woman, Rick begins to administer the test with a special machine and starts asking her a series of questions. After a long assessment of Rachel, Rick privately speaks to Eldon about the fact that the woman didn't know that she was a replicant because they'd given her false memories to provide emotional background. Rachel has no idea of her condition or that she's a replicant. After his strange conversation with Eldon, Rick goes to search Leon's apartment, unaware that he's being watched by the criminal, and finds Polaroid pictures hidden inside the drawers as well as synthetic skin. After a day of investigating, Rick returns to his apartment and is startled when he finds Rachel waiting for him there. Although he's reluctant at first, Rick invites her in and tells her that her memories are implants of Eldon's niece. Seeing her teary-eyed from the shock of the revelation, Rick feels bad and offers her a drink, but Rachel leaves his house in a hurry. Out in the rainy city, Pris, one of the rogue replicants, finds a man by the name of Sebastian, who is a talented genetic designer who was under the employment of Eldon. After tricking him into feeling sorry for her, thinking she was human, he lets her into his building and offers her some food. Back in his apartment, Rick is trying to analyze the pictures and skin that he found in Leon's apartment. Using his advanced computer to enhance the pictures to a high degree, he finds that a woman is in the picture with strange skin attached to her face, which is the same one he had found lying around. Taking it to a nearby analyst on the street, he finds out that the synthetic material is manufactured snakeskin. Once he had found out who had manufactured it from the street vendors, he found the maker who gave information that led him to a strip club. At the club, Rick speaks to the owner, Taffy, and asks him if he knows the woman in the picture, but gets no answer. Feeling a bit discouraged, Rick makes a call to Rachel and asks her to come have a drink with him, but she refuses. While drinking alone, Rick notices Zora and follows her to the back, pretending he's from a rights group. Although he assumes that she's bought the lie, Zora attacks him and attempts to escape. In hot pursuit of the rogue replicant, Rick runs out onto the street but loses her in the crowd. After thoroughly looking, Rick finally catches up to her as she's trying to escape and shoots her down, causing her to crash through the boutique windows. Unaware that he's being watched by Leon, Rick hands Zora's body to the proper authorities and then goes to speak to Bryant. Congratulating him on his speedy work, Bryant tells Rick that he needs to add one more body to his list and reveals the shocking news that his next victim would have to be Rachel, because she disappeared from the corporation. Although he's disturbed by the information, he tries to go home, but is ambushed by Leon, who beats him up. After a brief struggle, Leon tries to kill Rick, but he's saved by Rachel, who shoots the criminal with Rick's gun. Taking her to his home, Rick tries to find out more about why Rachel had escaped, and figures out that she now truly believes that she is a replicant. As he's cleaning up, she approaches him and asks him if he would come after her if she decided to go north, away from the people chasing her. Looking sullen, Rick promises her that he won't go after her, but others definitely will. Exhausted from the day, Rick goes to sleep, but is immediately awakened by Rachel playing the piano. Going over to her, he sits next to her and compliments her skin. Lost in her beauty, Rick tries to kiss her, but she rebuffs his advances and tries to leave his apartment. Following her to the door, he stops her from leaving and forces her to kiss him. After a bit of a struggle, Rachel finally relents and confesses the interest she had for Rick. Lost in their passion, the two spend the night together. Back in Sebastian's lair, Pris is trying to seduce the designer by asking him personal questions. While they talk, Roy makes an appearance, making the designer a bit uncomfortable. When they're alone, Roy reveals to Pris that all their other friends are dead, and that they're the only ones who are still alive. Although Pris suggests that they abandon Earth, Roy assures her that he has a plan. As he's walking around the house, Roy notices Sebastian looking at him and voices his concern. Staring at them intently, Sebastian tells them that he finds them fascinating because they look very human. Roy tells Sebastian about their genetic problems, as they are replicants made from a series that only live for 4 years. He then asks him for help to connect them with Eldon, as he's their creator and the only one who could save them. Finally, agreeing to aid them, Sebastian takes the two replicants to Eldon's company. Using their constant game to trick him into letting him in, Sebastian gains Roy to the access that he needs to speak to his maker. As he's putting on his robe, he notices Roy standing by his bedroom door and immediately recognizes him as his creation. Calm and collected, Eldon asks the man what he wants. Now, looking sicklier than before, Roy informs Eldon that he wants to fix him and give him a longer life. Eldon informs Roy that his genetic formation couldn't allow him to do what he asked, and that they made his series as best as they could. Seeing that the man is telling the truth, Roy gently cups Eldon's face and kisses him on the lips before crushing his skull. Seeing the horrifying sight, Sebastian tries to run away, only to be pursued by Roy. Out in the streets of the city, Rick is sitting in his vehicle when he receives a call from Bryant, informing him that Sebastian is missing. After making a call to Sebastian's building, he finds it suspicious when the call ends abruptly. Heading over to the building, he cautiously heads up the stairs into Sebastian's living quarters. Once he arrives there, he finds all of Sebastian's toys scattered around and continues to look around, unaware that Pris is hiding amongst them. Catching him by surprise, she startled him, attacking him before he had a chance to react. Although she manages to have the upper hand, Rick gets the better of her and shoots her repeatedly. After flailing around for a few seconds, Pris passes away. Hearing the elevator come up, Rick hides, awaiting the intruder. Roy, having heard the gunfire from above, cautiously exits the elevator and walks towards the living quarters, shocked to find Pris sprawled dead on the floor. Angry at losing the girl he was in love with, Roy kisses Pris's cold lips one last time before heading out to look for her killer. Covered in sweat and breathing hard, Rick points his gun, ready to shoot down whoever is approaching. Unaware of Roy's speed and training, Rick is overwhelmed, being caught by surprise by the stealthy man. Grabbing him through the wall, Roy breaks Rick's fingers but returns his gun, in hopes of playing around with the man that killed his girlfriend. With his hands severely hurt, Rick attempts to find a way out of the place in an attempt to escape from the lunatic. While running around through the maze of the building, Roy's body begins to fail, causing him to be unable to fight as he needs to. Once Rick manages to get Roy over the head a few times, the two men end up on the outside railing of the building. Although he manages to climb up to the roof, Rick is suffering from his hand injury and knows that he won't be able to take on Roy. Deciding to escape instead, Rick attempts to jump off the roof to the next building, causing him to hang on the edge. Seeing the man, Roy makes the jump to the other building easily and watches Rick lose his grip. Right when he's about to fall, Roy catches Rick in midair and pulls him back up to the platform. Sitting cross-legged in front of Rick, Roy tells the Blade Runner that he's experienced so much in his life, but all of his memories will now be lost in time. Saying his last words, Roy's body expires and he passes away. As he watches the rogue replicant die, Rick is filled with remorse for the man. Suddenly, he's startled by the loud voice of Bryant's detective's voice and turns around. Gaff throws him his gun and tells Rick that she wouldn't stay alive, referring to Rachel, who'd been hiding out in Rick's home. Pulling himself together, Rick returns to his apartment with his gun raised, unsure who might be waiting for him. Inside of his house, he finds Rachel still in bed and sighs in relief. After making sure she trusts him to take care of her, Rachel gets dressed and the two flee from the city. Later, the two are seen driving through the desolate, open expanses, their car cutting through the vast, untamed landscape. The road stretches out endlessly before them, winding through the rugged terrain and barren wilderness. As they leave civilization behind, the hustle and bustle of the city life fade into the distance, replaced by the serene solitude of the untamed countryside. The sun sets on the horizon, casting a warm glow over the untouched natural beauty that surrounds them. In this remote and isolated setting, they find a sense of freedom and escape from the pressures and dangers of the world that they left behind. Talk about riding off into the sunset and living happily ever after. I'm really glad that they got the happy ending that they deserved. What about you? Do you agree, or do you think something else should have happened? Let me know in the comment section below. And hey, if you want to see another movie recap, then click the video that's on screen now. Thank you guys for watching all the way until the end of this video. Make sure to give this video a like and subscribe to our channel for more movie recaps. Thanks, I'll see you in the next video.